Where are you from, man?
My roots is in Croydon, West Croydon. I grew up in West Croydon. My mum lived next door to the house that I grew up in. My mum was adopted by a German family, so I grew up with a German grandmother. My grandfather, non-biological grandfather, was German, and he'd passed by the time I came about. So I only remember my nana, Elsie Engel, so Engel's Nursery, you're probably familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
When my mum met my dad, obviously my nana, German grandparents, had the block of land next door, so my mum and dad bought the block of land then. That was where I was born and raised, in West Croydon, Cavendish Street. So, my mum was basically the biological family from the West Coast, so Tumby Bay, that area, Coffin Bay. So that's where, the roots are. My dad's side is obviously English side. Family. He's born and bred in Port Adelaide, and met my mum at a party somewhere in Croydon back in the day. They've been married, I think, how long have they been married? Well over 50 years, maybe 60. 60 years, 60 or so years. Met at a party. My dad was working on cattle stations, so that's what happened there. And then he came.
So you can ride a horse?
Yep. He used to be able to ride a horse. So he met my mum at a party. He was working in Narracourt at that particular time on a station there. So, and he worked all around Australia on cattle stations with his father, straight out of primary school. I think he did a short stint at Charlie Gardens Primary School, and then they relocated to Waikerie.
Is that right?
But yeah, so my dad's basically born and bred in Port Adelaide. He moved to down the end of the street from where they live now, because there's a rental property back down there in the day, and my dad was renting that till they got married and bought the house next door to my grandma's place. And then he needed a job because he was obviously moving to Adelaide from Narracourt. Most of his life he'd lived on cattle stations, so all around from Roma, Queensland, Warren, all different places. Wilcannia, all the way down, and down parts of near Broken Hill as well. So they bought a house, got married and bought a house. So Port Adelaide, it's pretty heavy in my roots, you know. So,
the thing I like about Port Adelaide, it doesn't matter where you're from. If you know you're going to die here, you're from, you're local.
Yeah,
so that is the nature of an entrepot.
Yeah, it holds a special place, the port for me. And Dad ended up getting a job. Mum would tell me he'd ride his bike, because they didn't have a car at the time. He'd ride his bike down to Elders Wool Stores.
Great.
Because every month we were looking to recruit people. So and I think at the time, Charlie Barreau, you probably heard the Barreau Hotel group. Charlie Barreau was hiring people, and he'd just pick you out from the crowd. Dad kept showing up each month.
Yep.
And finally, Charlie Barreau signed him up, and he worked in the wool stores before becoming a wool broker there for them.
Great.
So he worked very closely with Bob Barreau when we were kids. So
Fantastic.
And funnily enough, the house I live in now in Rosewater is just diagonally across from where Charlie Barreau lived. So we're the Barreau family. Pretty
much right there.
Grew up, yeah.
Well, Tin Town, of course, being in among the wool sheds.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Tin Town's known for by the locals. I think you don't really hear many people talking about it anymore. But
There's only about 20 houses left. Sorry.
Yeah. So, and I believe those houses were built for the wool merchant days, where the workers would live in those
little cottages.
Yeah, those cottages. So it was accommodation for the people working the wool stores.
Just for us about music, the catchers used to bring the sheep in there, and of course they'd have the sheep coming in. Apparently, one old lady, Lena Spall, was in Tin Town there.
Yes.
She passed about probably 12 years ago, probably.
I think I saw that interview. She talked about someone in her family coming in the port. Yeah.
He won that swimming in the Port Noarlunga River, and he worked at Holden's.
How did he win it?
Pardon?
What sort of swimming race was it?
He worked for Holden's, and they had a picnic. It was held up down that way, and they had him handicapped, He was the last to leave. And he come up beating them.
So he was a strong swimmer then?
Oh yeah, lived in the river.
Yeah.
Down there by Collie, there used to be a gang of the Ivett girls, Spall's kids, all the kids around here and all that, all swimming there by the end of the canal, because the canal in front of the hotel, that was a canal, the water went right through there. The ships used to come right up there.
All right. Yeah. So they'd swim around the ships?
Oh yeah, they should swim anywhere there's water. Oh, yeah. I used to go, when we lived here first, I was married to me, and we'll walk down there to the number 5 berth, it's called, and he'd get in there and I'd throw him a cake of soap, like you have a wash in water. Wouldn't get me in the water,
Yeah.
no way.
Would he ever wash?
Oh, you mucked it. They said, how are you going to soak it in salty water? He said, it's the best tonic, you used to. I said, you clown. And the other said, I must tell Mum I'm going to take a cake of her soap. And she said, you don't wear that out in more salty water. Oh, crazy. But they, a whole gang of them used to get there and like, they had to use themselves. It's a funny time of life, you know.
Yeah.
They weren't druggies or anything like that.
Yeah.
And the sort of thing. And when you look back and think, well, my son's the same. He taught himself to swim in the canal where Kmart is now. That's where the Port Adelaide swimming club was in the Rosewater. And he went in there. When Chip said to the girls, who's that little fella there? It's our brother. And he said, call him over, come over. And he said, well, could you like me to train you? No, he said, I swim better than that. He used to jump in the river and think nothing of it. Straighten after his father, see. I went down the wharf one night with Graham, and he says, call it down there. He said, Mum, you're knocking off at 7 o'clock. All right, and the little one, yes. And I come, Mum, I said, yeah. And I didn't take notice of him. He put his jacket on the top or something. Next minute I heard plonk. And I looked up and there's this little idiot out in the middle of the stream waving his hand. Hello, Mum, I'm out here. Oh, and I'm sitting frozen. But I can't save him. Oh, come on, Graham, hurry up. So he came back and got up. I said, I'm going to kill you. It's fabulous, Mum, he said. So when his father came, I said, have a go at him. I said, he nearly killed me. He said, do it again. He said, show me what you've done. He said, he'll never drown me, but don't worry. He's a born swimmer.
But music, a musical family, how'd you get into music?
Yeah, it's funny because probably I'm the only musician in the family, really. My dad had an incredible voice, you know, he would always sing around the house. Mm-hmm. So I think he had that natural ability to project and sing. So, but he never did. I think he was probably too shy a person to do that. But
Get on stage.
I've obviously inherited that because I love doing it.
Thrill is gone. Thrill is gone away. Oh, you know the thrill is gone. It's gone. The thrill is gone away. I know when you've done it wrong, you're gonna be sorry, sorry, baby. Now that I'm free, I'm free from your spell. Oh, free. Darling, I'm free from your spell. I know when you've done the wrong. I know when you've done the wrong, you're gonna be so sorry,
But he had lots of records, you know. He was a record freak. He'd always be. I remember he'd drive Mum crazy because they didn't have a lot of money, and like if they went to the shopping centre, he'd have to go to Alan's record store and he'd be in there flicking through all the records. So, yeah, a lot of the music I got into was through my dad. So the Robert Cray earlier on in my blues career, you know, he'd had records with Robert Cray and Stevie Ray Vaughan and all that kind of stuff. My dad's 86 now.
Brother Robert Cray. with it.
Yeah, so, and he had bands like Chicago, you know, and Toto and all, and a whole bunch of stuff, and then all that country stuff as well. You know that Waylon Jennings. And
So
all
he's a
that.
real fan.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff, but it was primarily a lot of roots-based music, and that's really how I got into it. And then when over the years, then he sort of started putting speakers in the ceiling. You know, I think I had a brother-in-law at that time working at Brash's or something. He was able to do a deal, and Dad put speakers in the ceiling. So he'd come home from work and he'd straight, if he wasn't at the gym, because my dad's also won several titles, South Australian powerlifting title as well, and was state coach, South Australian powerlifting coach as well.
Okay.
So if he wasn't at the gym, he was like listening to music. So that's the first thing he'd do.
And the two go together.
And the two go together. And Mum had to sort of bring up 3 kids, you know, on her own, because he was always at work or at the gym, you know.
Yep. As you got to be if you're really going to get into something.
Yeah.
How much time do you put into your music?
It's funny for me, 'cause music come very naturally for me. I never really practiced it. It just came natural.
You ought to see my baby when she walk down the street. She upset everybody she meets. She's twin waist, she thirsty as hell. She got the long black wavy hair, she got the ruby red lips. She tough, oh, she tough. My baby rough, she rough and tough. In a tough world. She walked past the black won't feel the time. Walk past the black, did she lose the time? She does. Oh, she does. My baby rough, she rough and tough.
Most of my energy was put in listening. I'd sit for hours.
Yeah.
I mean,
When did you first pick up a harmonica?
I first picked up a harmonica when I was 23 years old. There's a funny thing is I was living with a girl in Findon, and her ex-partner had left a harmonica under the bed in the box. He'd never played it. It was under there. But she was an avid smoking person, smoked a bit of marijuana, and the apparatus was always sitting under the bed there. So she asked me to reach under the bed to grab the smoking apparatus, and I'm reaching around for it, and I fit this box, and it was a Hona Marine Band harmonica. And I can remember she'd never let me play it in the house, so I'd sit out. My car was parked in the backyard. We lived in a little housing trust place in Findon, and I'd sit in my car and play in the car with the windows wound up, and yeah.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, and then I met.
Well, I guess it just happened to be the one that you found first. You were going to discover a harmonica at some point.
Yeah, I dabbled with, and I was in punk and metal bands and stuff like that too. You know, before that, before I played an instrument, just singing a big frontman thing.
Yeah.
But I think I tried guitar and I tried bass, and it just didn't kind of feel right. And so then when I picked up the harmonica, it sort of did. And then I met Greg Baker, and that's when I saw Jesse Dean, friend with Greg Baker. Mm-hmm. And Greg gave me some really good tips on, how to play that traditional tongue blocking style. So I had, a couple of lessons from Greg, but, I was knocking around with Greg Baker a bit. And also the great David Blight, who's a
brilliant harmonica player and probably a genius.
Changing, ain't changing the weather, ain't no changing. I ain't hiding from nobody, ain't no one hiding from me. got the green light. I never thought that you'd been on.
Yeah, so between those two guys, and then obviously not hanging around with the Capritis brothers as well.
Ah, that would
on
help.
the Streamlighters. You know, Nick was played harmonica as well, and is quite good at harmonica playing. So he taught me a couple of. I remember sitting at his mum and dad's place in Richmond. I wanted to learn some of that third position stuff that George Harmonica Smith and the like did. So I remember Nick showing me how to do a couple of those things.
Well, you're lucky you had good people around who you still hang out with.
Yeah, you still hang out with it. Yeah, and yeah, it was.
Well,
I was very, very, very lucky because you know, a lot of these great musicians in Adelaide obviously saw something in me. They saw that I had a bit of you know, first and foremost, I think it was because I had an interest and I was keen to learn. So that's where I think I was lucky that, you know, because of that, because I was industrious and, you know, wanted to learn. And I think they saw that, and they
I have heard that they appreciate your work ethic.
Yeah, work ethic. So and
Hardest working man in Adelaide, I have been told.
Oh, really? Yeah. So I was really lucky. So I've, you know, and I still continue to play with those guys, and I still see them as mentors. You know, that's
Yeah. Well, tell me about a few of those people.
well, there's some of them are on field and off field teammates and colleagues and mentors. You know, the Capritis brothers obviously have been a great inspiration to me and have always, you know, helped me with records. I think I've got a few of their rare records in my cupboard, some of that I've moved from house to house that they dearly want back, you know, because they're probably worth a lot of money, those old records. I've got to dig them out and get them back to them. But they were always landing me records and vinyl. Or Nick would make me mixtapes of different blues stuff. I've still got Nick's Capritis' tapes that he'd give me, Johnny Otis stuff and all the stuff that I should be listening to and learning. And then, you know, Jesse was around the time, so, and he's just an incredible player. So to see what he did and was a big inspiration. Baker is another one, and obviously because I was a Cold Chisel fan before I got into blues, you know, the Dave Blight as well, you know, so a lot of different people, and then Eddie Lang, who I met when at my apprenticeship days when I was working in local government for the City of Woodville Council, which is now the Charles Sturt Council. Ed was already working there when I was there, so he was a bit of a mentor as well. I'd go around his place and he had lots of videotapes back then. We didn't even have DVDs.
What was the best one?
There was so many ones that he had.
You're talking the classic old black and white.
He did. He had in more latter years, you know, we were watching Scorsese stuff, you know, the blues sort of gear. But I'm also an avid, you know, country music fan as well. I love anything to do with roots music. So I remember watching a lot of a guy called Dale Watson. He had a guy called Dale Watson live stuff that he'd done in Austin City Limits or something like that. I loved watching that one, and I remember watching Los Lobos. I love that band, you know, and we'd always, you know, put that stuff on. But Townes Van Zandt, all those people, drive-by truckers. You know, I knew about those bands years. People, they're popular now. All the Melbourneites and all that. You know, Towns Van. I was listening to Towns Van Zandt in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. Probably with that Poet compilation.
I can't.
That was in the
remember.
90s.
I can't remember.
Well, that was people covering Towns Van Zandt.
Yeah, it's Ed Lang. He had all that stuff. So
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
Eddie had that. So that's how I got into, you know, Junior Brown and all those, you know, people. Those he had everything, you know, all that stuff. Anything new, he had it, you know. And even that's the new guys, like, is it Marcus King? Is it?
Yeah, I've heard of. Haven't.
All those new R&B, soul, blues. He's across anything that's new. He already knows about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and basically
he's the encyclopedia.
he knows his shit.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and not just blues stuff. A lot of gear. You know, he's probably, you know, already got you know, something, Emil and the Sniffers or something like. He's already probably got, you know,
Probably
all that stuff. You know, he's got everything from, you know, country, rockabilly, blues, you know, punk stuff. Yeah, you know, metal. You know, Zakk Wylde. He's got it all. Yeah. So it was interesting to go to, and I'd sit around there. I'd do gigs at the Workers Club. And by the time I got out of there back in the day, it was never shy of, you know, by the time we had a few beers and sat around, 2 a.m. would have been the earliest you'd get out of the Workers Club then when we closed the doors, locking.
back in the day when the post gig thing was just
well,
that was just about as fun as the gig.
Yeah, that's
Sorry,
right.
go on.
Yeah, you should go on. And then I'd be back at Eddie's till 7 a.m. after
Beautiful.
that.
Wow. Yeah.
So there was a lot of, and that went on for years, you know. Every single time I played at the Workers Club, back at Eddie's, you know.
Beautiful. Yeah.
On the couch, and we'd have him and I just have music going. We'd order, you know, if it was early enough, we'd get a pizza at Rocco's Pizza. We used to get a pizza,
Beautiful. Yeah.
and he'd always have the fridge full of beer. So
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, good times. And tell me about now. There's been a bit of a revival of the blues. Tell me about where that's happening and the younger blues people.
yeah, so the revival of the blues, it's, you know, it comes in waves, in circles. You know, it goes full circle. But Memphis Slims is probably a venue that's doing quite well. You know, so it's very good for, you know, local musicians, because we've been playing that music for years, so we haven't had to change anything. It's not like a fad for us to sort of like.
That's what they're after. That's right.
This is the new breath of fresh air. It's like we've been doing it. So it's really good to have a place to play and to play to new audiences, because it's in a city.
That's right.
It's
a younger audience.
It lends itself to younger audience, and it's good. It makes it more accessible for those kind of people, and hopefully they can, you know, draw from that and form an interest in that, and maybe you know, play music as well. But you got, you know, some younger guys coming to. When I say young, you know, some of these people are in their 30s. You know, Jason Mannix. He's another that's has a strong interest in that authentic style of music. You know.
Come on, Jason.
He's obviously a real music fan.
He is, yeah.
One of the genres that he's really into.
He is, and he's doing really well, and he's starting to woodshed all that stuff quite well, and he's great on guitar, and he's great on
Vocal.
on vocal, and he's great on bass, you know.
And he writes great songs.
And he's writing songs, you know.
Work the day, and I can't wait. See my pretty baby just stretch out straight. Yeah, I just can't wait. Oh, I just can't wait. We'll stay up all day till the morning break, and my baby's great.
he's got the guidance too of Mickey Garcia. I think is there's one drummer. If you could have one drummer, it's like Mickey. If you're playing blues, he's the one, isn't he?
Well, he seems to get most of the gigs.
Yeah.
Well, he seems to get most of the gigs that I go to anyway.
Yeah. I mean, there's some great.
Mario's
fantastic.
probably my favourite drummer. If I was
Right. Okay. Yeah.
name the one.
Yeah.
That's all right.
And Mario's fantastic. I mean, it's a very strong bond thing. This fraternity of.
But I would say Mick Garcia is getting most of the gigs.
Yeah. He's probably the most. Well, he's probably the most like Jesse. He's probably the most. He's never wavered. That's what he does. So that he's going to get those blues gigs. He's probably got the most experience because that's all he's ever done.
Yeah. And I love what he does. I mean, he's definitely my second favourite.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Yeah. But yeah, they're all fantastic.
He's a monster.
They're all great.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's one thing I'd like to see, in the music industry in Adelaide, particularly in the blues area, is getting some more female, some more women involved.
Well, of course, you've always had Sky.
Yeah.
Compton Harris.
Yes.
And she's world class. We're just lucky that she's still in Adelaide, like the rest of you guys. Same as the Capritas boys. But there's also Shyla Eve.
Shyla, yes. I've known Shyla since she was a little tacker.
Tell me about her.
Well, Shyla, my wife was good friends with her mother, so that's when I became friends with her mum through my wife Courtney. So Janice. So so we saw Shyla coming through as a very. I remember going to see one of her shows when she was a little one at the museum. There was a show on there for a lot of young musicians, budding young musicians, and Janice took her daughter there, and we came down there that day to support her.
As you do.
All but Janice and I drinking beer at 11 o'clock in the morning at a family show, which was not licensed to have alcohol.
Great, but she's got a really good voice.
Yeah, her mum had a great voice too.
Yeah.
They call me the voodoo woman. I love the water and fly my leg. They call me the voodoo woman. I love the water and fly my leg. Well, I tell all you men, if your woman got enough.
Shyla's she's putting herself out there, and she's
not getting enough gigs, in my observation.
Yeah, she's another one quite talented. I mean, that's just. But once again, so the blues thing for her is it's she's woodshedding that sort of stuff. But I think moving forward, I think it's going to be more about the songwriting and more about that than any particular style of music. So yeah, she's playing blues and stuff, but I think which is great. She's writing, her own original music.
Well, she's great talent. She's an enthusiastic part of the scene.
Absolutely, yeah.
She's always out about doing it.
Yeah. So more of that would be great. More of, and I think Shyla's is the start of that. I think she's gonna, really inspire a lot of young women to sort of, because it really is a male dominant kind of world, isn't it? Particularly in that, I know what it's like in the state now because I haven't done a whole bunch over there of late. But yeah, it's very male dominant, industry.
Right. Yeah.
And to have that balance, I think it's lovely. When you look at the, in Chicago and back in the day, you had your Muddy Waters and you had the Howlin' Wolf, and those guys were heavyweight. They were massive, but they weren't as big as Etta James or Katie Webster or all those.
Mm-hmm.
Blues women were absolutely massive, and
it is male dominated.
And
what about some of these young guys that are doing well at the moment? There's AP
Antoni. Yeah, he's really talented guy. Yeah, he's more the folk style blues. He's into the Woody Guthrie bag. But he's a very talented guy. But he's certainly not a newcomer to the industry. He's been around doing it for a long time. But there's Adelaide's very fortunate that it has a lot of talent, here.
You're a great one too.
No worries.
Thanks very much.
Thank
mate.
you. My pleasure.